Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine McLean. I am one of the content producers here at Rolling Out. Today, we have someone who is making her mark in the entertainment industry. She is using her voice to tell stories and just being a face for Black women and what we need in the entertainment industry. I'd love to introduce to you Akilah. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jasmine. I'm good. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, we're so happy to have you and talk more about your journey in media and exactly what you do. We know that you have your hands in a lot of pots. You're currently working with Revolt TV, which is so major. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you arrived to where you are now and kind of your background to get to this place?
Yeah, great question, because how I arrived is not that cookie cutter type of way in when I say the kind of on air side of the business. So I actually started on the business side. I have been building my way to become a media executive. I'm super interested in just the industry, how it works as within business, and so that's kind of how I started. I went to Columbia to get my MBA, and therein I focused in on media, technology, as well as a kind of like the business side of things, and worked my way up to becoming vice president of content at a streaming service. And so, within that, I worked at Apple TV, at HBO Max, at, Viacom, now Paramount. And within all those roles, I was really just on the forefront of digital strategy, of business development, doing a lot of deals when it came to the content itself. And so that was great to just get a landscape. I wouldn't say everyone do that in order to, if their true passion is really to be on air, but I knew, like, I was just very much interested in the industry as a whole. And I knew I didn't have to necessarily choose, right? And so, while doing that on the side, my 5 to 9 or side hustle, as a lot of you always say, like, was really building my reel, building my, just confidence and interest in on air. And so while after work, which was a lot of long hours, I would go to another studio and then, do a lot of recaps of reality TV. And so there was a show or a network called AfterBuzz TV that Maria Menounos started. And so I moved to LA. And while I was working within the industry, like I said, after work, I would be doing that. And I also started a podcast with a close friend from someone that I met at AfterBuzz, and kind of we started our own podcast organically, centered around kind of Black entrepreneurship, Black creators, things of that nature. So I was always keeping sharp while I was kind of building my just general grind towards the business. And then when Revolt came around, it was, had to do auditions, had to talk the talk, had to do the things. And there is when they gave me the opportunity to not only join the season 1 cast of Black Girl Stuff, which is their premiere kind of talk show, but also do a podcast on that space. And so just being prepared, I think, by always kind of showing up in that lane and showcasing my interest, and not being nervous about the fact that even though I have this interest, I also have this one, being okay with pursuing both, and not letting, society standards of what you should be and when you should be doing something kind of stare you down a path that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah, that's really important what you were saying as far as like having all these talents and not having to choose one, just being able to exist in all of them. How do you think younger Black women, and how important is it for them to see someone like us in the space that you're in? And have you seen a Black woman that inspires you to do what you do now?
Absolutely. So, the tons of Black women that are inspirational to me. Obviously we've got to say Oprah always, and just in terms of what she's been able to do throughout the industry, just truly a trailblazer. But even more, current, a lot of folks that I named, Issa Rae, I just love. Again, she is the definition of multi-hyphenate, like being able to run her business, even getting it to coffee and showcasing that, being a writer, things of that nature, and being a Black woman that I feel like I personally can relate to, knowing her story, her journey, went to Stanford and doing her thing, and just recognizing that there's a way to still be down and showcase that you're down, so to speak, while not, downplaying your level of excellence that you've been able to achieve. And so she's great. Elaine Welteroth, I name all the time, again, because of her transition from being, within Teen Vogue, editor-in-chief there, to doing the talk show space. So there's women out there that have been able to make that leap between business and talent. And those are usually the ones that I focus in on, although there are tons that are out there. And then I know the first part of your question was around just the importance of women like me. Recently, I posted a clip that we did for an episode on Black Girl Stuff on Colorism, and I posted that on my TikTok, and I saw kind of the reaction there. I spoke about the fact that even applying the jobs, has been interesting, noting like just kind of my background and kind of the hoops that I've had to jump through versus others. Even on the cast, noticing that, I shared space, openly, and everyone was great, but sharing space with 3 racially ambiguous presenting women, like on a show called Black Girl Stuff, definitely had its challenges sometimes too, in terms of being able to, and being confident for me, holding my own and recognizing that I was not only representing myself anymore. It wasn't just my story. It really is a story of a lot of Black women who are enter spaces, not only just predominantly white spaces, but even in predominantly Black spaces. Sometimes there's a lot of issues and a lot of kind of undertones around just how you present yourself and what you decide to do. Obviously, I see you in braids and they look hella cute, but honestly, me too, having natural hair and showcasing that, it was something that I wanted to do. So it's not necessarily something because of this or because of that, but being in those spaces, you recognize the importance of just showing up as yourself, because there's a lot of women that either don't get the opportunity to or don't see that that's possible. And so just, stifle themselves because of that.
Yeah, thank you for the compliment on my braids, but I love you too. And like you were saying, I think for the youth, them seeing, that they can continue to be themselves and don't have to fit into this box, that, anything is possible. And you shared about how you had to make sure you really like honed in on you being confident in these spaces. What does a day to day look like for you in the role that you're filling in now? And how do you stay like uplifted and confident? Because it's a daily journey, literally.
It's literally a daily journey. And I would say sometimes I do not have those days. Some days it's just around, I just want to watch TV and I want to vent. I just want to, just feel like I don't have to do, you know what I mean? And I think that's important too, because, when we're in this kind of, and I, my main 20s, et cetera, was really in that girl boss babe era where it was truly hustle, truly grind. Like now I'm entering into the soft life of it all and recognizing that there's a balance between the two. But my day-to-day just truly varies. And it's because, and it's kind of how I would like it, but it does vary just based on what I do. Like all day yesterday, I'll mention was content creation. And so, started the day, obviously thinking through my own brand, thinking through my own focus in on career and self-development and kind of creating content around just how I got to different aspects of my life. But then it was also very much podcast heavy. So we had 2 recordings within Revolt. And so within that, it was kind of preparation for a lot of these interviews, like making sure that when I step in and I speak to people, I kind of know a little bit about them, you know how it is. And so really making sure that I had that background. And yesterday I had the opportunity to interview Shayla Cowan from Will Packer Media, and love her. That in terms of another inspiration, she is as well. And so making sure I was prepared for that. And then afterwards was going to another interview back to back, and this time on nutrition. So completely different topics, but being able to kind of, how do you blend yourself in that? And how do you make sure that it's still relative to your audience is something big that I'm thinking through. And then balancing that out with my own kind of career development and self-development moves. As I mentioned, the business side is something that I'm still very much interested in. I took a pause to focus in on what I'm building within Revolt and as talent, but it's not going to be paused forever. And so that means really keeping up with conversations, with what's happening in the industry, staying up to breast, like staying kind of what's happening and making sure that I have my opinion on the market today.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a healthy balance is, that soft life that everyone's saying. So, that's really inspiring to see. And I wonder, we are, as women, especially Black women, have a lot of superpowers. If you could say that you had a superpower, what would it be? One that you already have. Like for me, I would say my superpower is my empathy. I'm very empathetic. And I think that's important. And it's also like really hard to draw away from when you're in this field, but it's also a great thing and it tells a great story, which is why I feel like I can do this. So what would you say yours is?
Yes, I think my superpower is that I'm futuristic. I literally don't see things for what they are. I see them for what they could be, which sometimes can get me in trouble. But for the most part, you know, it's really good. And for me, at least, to just, it allows me to dream bigger and to not stop dreaming. I do not take either what someone shows me or what someone is, or what something is, some entity is, and say, okay, that means I'm going to put myself in a box, or I'm going to just do this because it seems like that's all I can do. No, if I'm in a situation, or if I'm in any environment or with any group of people, I'm seeing it not only for what it is, but truly like, okay, point B, and how can I make sure that we get there? How can I make sure that I get there? Because I think any place that you enter, you should enter from a standpoint of how can you create impact. And I think you can't really create impact unless you know what that impact should be, and how can you truly visualize it and then articulate that so people can really buy into not only to the message, but buy into you. And that doesn't really happen unless you have that visionary type of quality.
I love that. I think that's I've never heard that superpower before. So I think that's a really unique one. And can you talk to us about, you know, what's next for you, and where can we find your show and your content? I know you're doing a lot. How can we keep up with your journey?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for wanting to keep up with the journey. Everything for me it's mainly social. So it's just my name, at Akilah Ffriend, and friend is with 2 F's. And so just find me on social there. And that's usually where I post things that are coming up next. I mentioned Revolt a few times. I do have some things I'm cooking up with them soon. And so I think it'll come out nearly after you all promote this. And so definitely make sure you tune into Rolling Out, tune into me, and then you'll be able to see what's happening next. As I mentioned, the podcast is still going strong. So once a week we'll drop that. It's called Monuments to Me. Also, as I mentioned, you know, have some things cooking up within the career space, within the self-development space, and just overall, like, kind of how do you be a business in and of yourself. So.
Yeah, we need that. That would be like vital information. But thank you, Akilah, so much. And we look forward to your, continued success. And we're happy that we had the opportunity to share your story.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.